Suddenly, the Japanese guards bring Hewitt to the yard, tie him up, and beat him for everyone to see. The Japanese guard blames the American prisoners for being cowards and not stopping Hewitt from escaping. Thus, he will pay the price of death for his actions. The movie begins in 1944 at the Palawan POW or prisoners of war camp, where the Japanese military secret police or the Kempeitai are dragging the American soldiers into air raid shelters. Major Nagai, the head of the Kempeitai, receives the memo to annihilate all prisoners of war. With this order, they brutally kill the American soldiers by barricading the entries of the air raid shelters using oil tanks and setting them on fire. A few American soldiers manage to escape from the barricade. Still, without mercy, the Japanese soldiers shoot them, killing each of them. The following year of January 1945, on the first day at the 6th Army Headquarters, Calasio, Luzon, Philippines, Captain Prince, the captain of the 6th Ranger Battalion, finalizes the overlays and looks for his commanding officer Lieutenant Colonel Mucci, which he finds playing poker and hands him the overlays. Later that day, Mucci meets General Kruger and introduces him to Colonel White and Major Lapham, the stay-behinds from the Bataan campaign running guerrilla units at north-central Luzon. They work hand in hand with the guerrillas as their primary source of intel. Lapham tells them that 500 American soldiers are survivors of the Bataan Death March at the Cabanatuan POW camp and are set to be killed at the hands of the Japanese, similar to the incident at Palawan POW camp. General Kruger orders Mucci to develop a plan by morning, which he will decide later. Then, Mucci instructs Prince to create the plan to raid the Cabanatuan POW camp, which Prince will lead. They then meet with other officers to discuss the photographic intel of the camp. Still, Prince is having difficulty determining how many men they will send based on the unspecific photograph of the camp. Still, Mucci insists that they should get it done immediately. At the Cabanatuan POW camp, 2 POWs are digging graves in the graveyard of the spacious camp yard. They are talking about Hewitt, who tried to escape from the camp, but they are most certain that the Japanese will catch him. Meanwhile, Captain Redding is harvesting beetroots from the farm. He sneaks a beetroot inside his hat and brings it to Major Gibson suffering from malaria. Lieutenant Cohen enters the room and brings the news that General Douglas MacArthur has conquered the Philippine Southern Islands and landed in Luzon. Still, Gibson doubts that General MacArthur will soon rescue them since they do not know how close he is to them. Suddenly, the Japanese guards bring Hewitt to the yard, tie him up, and beat him for everyone to see. The Japanese guard blames the American prisoners for being cowards and not stopping Hewitt from escaping. Thus, he will pay the price of death for his actions. Later that day, the Japanese soldiers and some American prisoners go to the market of Cabanatuan City to refill their food supplies. Gibson bribes one of the Japanese guards to buy their own food. He goes to the Filipino fruit vendor Mina to trade cash for medicines and more money. Mina tells Gibson that her family was questioned by the Japanese as they worked underground with the American soldiers. Gibson then asks about Margaret and insists that they stop taking risks for them. Mina responds that Margaret will not listen, and she gives him quinine hidden inside the bag of peanuts, and Gibson then leaves. As Cohen reaches the cart, he asks Redding about Margaret, whom Gibson is concerned about. Redding explains that Margaret is an American nurse married to Gibson's commanding officer, who died of malaria. She is currently in Manila working for the underground and smuggling all the medicines in the camp. In Manila, Margaret meets with Filipino dealers who sell medicines for the underground. The Filipino man demands more money for quinine since only limited supplies exist. Margaret agrees to get more money and hurriedly leaves, for she senses they are in a setup. She starts the car and leaves with Cora while her 2 men companions shoot at the dealers and the Japanese guards and successfully escape from them. Back at the 6th Army Headquarters, Mucci briefs his best trained men but least proven battalion in the army, entrusting them with his life as he accompanies them on their upcoming mission to rescue 500 POWs from the Cabanatuan camp, proceeding with Prince's plan, which the general liked. That night, First Sergeant Top visits Prince in his tent, insisting that he will need him on the mission as someone with experience in combat since the men that Mucci will send are bachelors and inexperienced. Top effectively convinces Prince to take him. On the second day, the 6th Ranger Battalion under Mucci left the 6th Army Headquarters with little information about the enemy but with only the orders to liberate the POWs at the Cabanatuan camp. Meanwhile, at the Cabanatuan POW camp, every last Japanese soldier has left, leaving the POWs alone, thus prodding Redding to break the locks of their fences, untying the corpse of Hewitt, and leading the other men to the canteen to eat leftover food. Gibson then unlocks the storeroom, and to his surprise, it is revealed that numerous food supplies are deliberately withheld to starve them. Hence, each man takes food for himself and others. At the Japanese-controlled territory, Mucci's men are searching the area for any traces of the enemy, which they find that they left a few hours ago. As they continue in the area, They come across the Kempeitai going in the direction of the Cabanatuan camp, and they follow them. Back in Manila, in church, Margaret and the Filipino underground members are discussing the concerning suspicions circulating about them. Margaret insists that if they are fearful for their lives, they are free to leave, and she won't hold it against them, but the members choose to stay. After the meeting, Mina catches up with Margaret, telling her about Gibson's condition and that she will continue to help Margaret. Back at the Cabanatuan POW camp, Redding is teasing Gibson about Margaret. At the same time, they relax without the threat of the Japanese surrounding them. Still, it soon ended when the Kempeitai reached their camp, shooting one of them and ordering them back to their fences. Nagai orders the presence of Gibson as the senior commander of the battalion of the 31st Infantry and shows him the hidden messages they found from their barracks, messages that are smuggled into camp, giving them the hope of MacArthur's soon return, which Nagai confirms to be accurate, as the American forces will quickly recapture the Philippines within a few weeks. Nagai offers a condition to Gibson to help him keep order in camp to make their stay tolerable. But if anyone escapes, he will kill 10 people in that person's stead. Nagai continues asking if Gibson has a reason to survive the war, and he replies that he would like to stay to witness their surrender. That night at Rizal Bridge, the 6th Ranger Battalion is 2 hours behind the plan as they sneak under the bridge from the ongoing convoy of the Japanese army. Suddenly, a Japanese soldier stops by the bridge and goes down the river near the Rangers to get water. As the Japanese ascend back to the vehicle, one of the Rangers makes a sound that eventually leads to the killing of the Japanese, and they hurriedly escape. On the third day at the Cabanatuan camp, Gibson lays in his bed delirious, suffering a malignant malaria. At the same time, Redding stays as his aide, encouraging him to pull himself together. Meanwhile, at a hospital in Manila, Margaret secretly continues to smuggle medicine from the hospital, but inevitably, the Japanese soldiers raid the hospital, bringing everyone outside. As they stand in line, an unknown whistleblower points out the nurses working for the underground where Cora is killed. Margaret is shocked by the incident and proceeds to meet with Mina to give her the quinine, but she reveals that she is being followed by a man. Margaret helps her escape, and an unknown man grows suspicious of Margaret. When the 6th Rangers reached Balansarin, they found the grieving Filipino villagers along with the guerrillas, where the incident happened yesterday when the Japanese soldiers attacked the village, killing the Filipinos for helping the guerrillas. The Alamo scouts also meet with them at Balansarin and explain the Cabanatuan camp's quarters. But Prince doubts that their intel is enough to determine the success of their plan. Muchi disagrees and demands no more delays. Prince speaks with the guerrilla leader Pajota to discuss the plan with him. Pajota tells him that they have long planned to save the POWs from camp but did not do so since they could not care for them since most of them were sick and crippled. He then suggests that he will bring enough carabao carts to carry 500 POWs to be prepared in 24 hours but should relocate them to a safer village in Platero. Back in Manila, Yamada, with the Japanese guards, arrest Margaret from her apartment to interrogate her. She denies all the allegations, and they send her to prison. On the other hand, at the Cabanatuan camp, the POWs are ordered to dig air raid shelters in the yard when suddenly Nagai receives a letter from Manila. Upon receiving the letter, the Japanese guards harshly escort Gibson to Nagai's office. He negotiates with Gibson to convince Margaret, the leader of the underground movement, to confess who her accomplices are and, in turn, will guarantee their safety, but Gibson declines the offer. Yamada enters the prison from where Margaret is and orders her release after being cruelly tied to a bamboo shoot. She walks past the dead bodies of Mina and the other underground members. Margaret goes to church feeling guilty about the death of Mina, but her father comforts her and tells her to trust in something stronger than herself. Suddenly the Japanese guards raid the church, and the priest helps Margaret to escape. Later at night at the Platero, the villagers welcome the Rangers with the guerrillas for a feast. Pajota speaks with Muchi insisting that the guerrillas help with the mission since it is their war too, but Muchi declines and states that they help only with the screening of the flanks, and he then leaves. At the camp, Nagai receives the oil tanks and sends the message to Tokyo, awaiting the signal to kill the prisoners. Margaret, along with some ordinary Filipino people, waits on a vehicle to transport them to a different place where they will have to pay to get in. She pays for the mother and child using her watch, and they get in the vehicle. On the 4th day, Redding escapes from camp but is caught by the Japanese in the morning. Nagai announces that with the disobedience of 10 other men will pay. He then randomly chooses from the POWs and publicly kills them all. At Muchi's battalion, the Alamo scouts report that the Japanese have resupplied the camp with fuel and troops, adding more numbers. Muchi, Prince, Pajota, and Lieutenant Riley's platoon scout under the Cebu Bridge to count on the number of Japanese reinforcements, estimating 1,000 of them. Prince encourages Muchi to take on faith and hear Pajota's suggestion. Muchi meets with him, and Pajota discusses his plan to damage the bridge to stop the Japanese vehicles and trap them in a crossfire. Meanwhile, Gibson is losing faith in the camp, and his men are scared after what happened to Redding. He requests for Cohen to write a letter for him to Margaret, but he doesn't know how to begin. Thus, Cohen guides him, and they continue with the letter. On the other hand, Prince briefs the plan to their men along with the combined forces of the guerrillas. They will need all their men to the camp and the routes in the direction of the camp block to seal the camp for their surprise attack. Mucci, Riley, and Pajota each station their men as planned, preparing for battle. The guerrillas plant the explosives on the road to Cabanatuan. Mucci's men crawl toward the camp while Pajota's men plant explosives on the Cebu Bridge. On the way to the camp on Prince's lead, an American plane flies over to distract the Japanese guards so Prince's platoon can crawl faster near the camp without being noticed. Nagai sees the plane and orders his guards to stay in their positions and tighten their security. At nightfall, when they have all stations secured in place, everyone waits for Riley's shot to signal the start of the attack, wherein they are delayed for 10 minutes but luckily get the accurate shot at the guard tower, blowing up the fuels and the vehicles at camp, gaining the massive attention from the troops at the Cebu Bridge where Pajota signals the attack as well. On Prince's instructions, the Rangers successfully break into the camp, surprising the Japanese with their attack and overpowering them. With the smooth execution of the plan, the Rangers reach the barracks of the POWs, first assisting those who couldn't walk to the main gate where the carabao carts are waiting for them. The battle at Cebu Bridge also started by blowing up the bridge and the tank of the Japanese army. Meanwhile, Prince follows Cohen to a barrack at the camp where more sick POWs lie in bed. Prince convinces Cohen to call other Rangers to carry the men in the room and that Prince will carry Gibson himself. Hundreds of POWs escape from their barracks, escorted by Prince's men heading to the main gate. Nagai survives the attack. He reaches the mortar and blows explosives at the main entrance. Top, with Daly, spots Nagai and tries to hold him down. Nagai faces head-on with Top and kills Nagai, being fatally injured as well. The Rangers successfully release the POWs from the camp with 2 casualties and 1 fatally injured. As Prince searches the camp and finds none left, he fires his red star cluster signaling the end of their raid. On the 5th day, at Talavera, the American front line, Margaret asks around for Gibson, where she meets Cohen, and he leads her to the corpse of Gibson. Margaret breaks down seeing Gibson's lifeless body. Cohen then gives her Gibson's letter, and she reads the meaningful message of his longingness and appreciation for her commitment to bringing hope to the POWs. Mucci, with the general, congratulates Prince's accomplishment on leading the Rangers, praising him greatly. The movie ends with the following narration of credits to the real-life heroes portrayed in the film. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Mucci is awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for Valor along with Captain Prince. Margaret Utinsky is also awarded the Medal of Freedom for outstanding heroism and fortitude. The raid on Cabanatuan camp continues to be recognized as the most successful rescue mission in U.S. military history. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.